for joining us today's event. I'm very excited to present by PM Dojo working with Isha. PM Dojo is a diverse learning community for people from product, tech, and design, and especially from all walks of life. So we have a unique product accelerator, which is a 10-week apprentice style learning program to enable those who are interested to break or transition into product to gain real world experience and have you improve your skill set. So essentially you get to collaborate as a diverse team, learn, receive mentorship, and launch a real product by the end of the 10 weeks. So really think into stepping into a role with that environment that mimics the real world. And our applications for the January Spring 22 cohort is open, and you can apply on the website from pmdojo.me/product accelerator. And now last but not least, the main event is our speaker today. She's a mom and chief technology enthusiast and data-driven individual. So, and I'll let her introduce the rest of herself and take it from there.
Perfect. I will continue with sharing my screen. So give me 1 second. Hi. So people who don't know me, I have been in engineering. I have an engineering background and I've been working in product for the last 11 years now. I love new technologies and working with data. If anyone wants to convince me about anything, it's always through data. I use data a lot in my analysis as a product manager as well. And that's how I make a lot of calls if I have to decide on what features we are working on, prioritizing backlogs and things like that. I am a mom of almost 3-year-old twins. And for the last 3 years, I would say that they've really trained me well in multitasking. Looking after 2 kids at the same time, especially when they're of the same age, is, I would say, interesting. I don't want to call it tough, but it is definitely interesting. It gives you a different perspective on your life, as well as I think it gives you a different perspective about yourself as well. When I'm not playing with them, taking them out for walks, things like that, I love to read fiction books, mainly suspense, like Gone Girl, Girl on the Train, etc. Don't judge me for those kind of books, but I really love those. I love to paint, I love to travel, and I love to cook. Those are my specialties. And in saying that, one thing I read a lot of, I would say, quotes from people. And one thing that really struck with me, especially when I became a mom, was that the story that we tell is ours, and it is always ours. So we should own it and we should tell it the way we want to tell. And the reason I'm saying that is because as moms, we are judged, I would say, day in and day out by society, whatever call we make, whether we are a working mom, we are a stay-at-home mom, there are so many different tags attached to a mother, and we are judged for everything we do. I've never seen those tags being attached to a dad, and I wonder why. So when you think from that perspective, a parent, when you call a parent is both a mom and a dad. But when we start judging, it's generally about the mother. If the kid does something wrong, it's always the mom's fault. If the kid is sick, it always falls on the mother to take care of the kid. So these are the couple of things that I have been experiencing, and I know that as a mom, I have been judged by a lot of people, and I know that it happens. Even knowingly or unknowingly, we make those calls about mothers, especially when we see them working. We think that they may not be doing what they're supposed to be doing. But the problem is that who has defined what a mom should be doing? It's defined by our society. And I don't believe that a society should be making those calls. I believe that it's your kids. You should, at the end of the day, you should feel like you were a good mom to your kid. Don't let the society judge you or tell you what you should be doing or what you shouldn't be doing. It should definitely be if at the end of the day you're satisfied with what you have done, with the choices you've made, and your kid is a happy kid, you're a good mom. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter whether you're working, whether you're not working. Ultimately, what matters is that your kids are happy, you are happy. And that's why I believe that your story should be yours to tell and not be told by anyone else or be dictated by anyone else. So this is something that struck with me when I read it. And I always use this, or I always refer to this when I'm talking to people about motherhood and being a working professional. So moving on, when I started working, I was on a maternity leave. Canada is good with maternity leaves, they let you have 1.5 years. So I actually really had fun in those 1.5 years. I don't have any regrets. It was fun. I spent a lot of time with my kids. But at the end of it, I always wanted to go back to work. That was never a choice for me. That was never something that I actually thought about. It was always that I wanted to work. There are a lot of reasoning behind it. And when I was growing up, my mom always instilled this in me that irrespective of whatever you are, you can be a mom, you can be a wife, you should have your own, I would say you should have your own introduction. You should have something that belongs to you. And you should, if you're working, be good at what you do. Let people know you as you, not because you are the wife of someone or you are the mom of someone or anything like that. And I had this thought was instilled in me since from the time I was growing up. So I always believed in that. So that's why I say that it was never a choice for me. I always wanted to go back to work. And when I started working, I actually felt that mom guilt. The first day I dropped off my kid at daycare, I really felt that, you know, when you feel like your heart is becoming very tight, that feeling, I got that. I actually cried the whole way back. But then as at the end of the day, when I picked them up and I was observing them from the doorway and I could see them smile and I could see them playing with other kids. And I realized that it's not actually the worst thing I have done in my life. It is something that is helping them, because kids, when kids at an early age, when they're introduced to other kids and when they start interacting, they learn how to share. They learn the very basic values of life. And after a month of going to their school, the one that they go to right now, they had learned so many new words, and they were talking and they were expressing themselves. They know when to say no, which is not always a good thing for a mom, to be honest. But I respect their decision when they say, "Mom, I don't want to do this." So they are learning a lot of things that I believe that will help them grow in their life. The second part to that is that it's also about the examples you're setting. So when I'll give you a very funny anecdote. So yesterday, because both my kids were home, my daughter, when she woke up, I was sitting right next to her and I had my laptop on and I was working. And she asked me that, "Mom, are you working?" And I'm like, "Yeah, since you are home, but mom still has to work. You're sick, so you can rest, but mom still has to work." She brings her own laptop and she's like, "Mom, I also have to work. I'm very busy." And I'm like, so I want, from an early age, I want my kids to see that it is not something that just because they want to be a parent, just because they want to have a family, doesn't mean that they have to give up on their dreams. Their dreams is theirs, and I will always support them. And I want them to believe that they can do both. They can have a family, and they can have their dreams, and they can achieve that. So in saying that, what I want to say is let go of that mom guilt. And 1 second. Thank you. So let go of the mom guilt, because ultimately what matters most is that you are a good mom. And for your little ones, you should be a good mom. That's all that matters in life. If you're a good mom to your little one, then that's it. When they look up to you, they don't judge you by the society glasses, because they haven't experienced anything like that. What they judge you from is that you make them happy. And that's all that matters. So let go of that guilt, let go of those all the Instagram's perfect stories that we see about moms. Let go of all of that and just make sure that you and your kids are happy. And I always emphasize on the fact that you should be happy at the end of the day as well. It's as important as your kids being happy. Because if you are not happy, if you're not satisfied with what you are doing, you will never be able to make sure that your kids are happy. That will always, that frustration, that anger creeps up. So make sure that you are happy. Learn to say no. Prioritize your work. So a lot of times we are called into meetings where I feel like we're just warming up the seats. We are actually not doing anything. So learn to say no for those meetings. Ask, what's the agenda? Why are you there? What are you contributing to that meeting? Can that conversation happen over emails? Can they share the slides with you and you can provide your feedback? Because ultimately, as a mom, you have limited time. You have to understand this fact and believe that you have limited time. It's not the same as someone, it's not the same as someone who's just working, who doesn't have kids, because there are things that you have to get to. You have to pick up your kids after daycare. You have to take them for their extracurricular activities. So learn to say no. Does it, will you be judged for your work? I believe, to be honest, I believe that, especially because of COVID, people have actually seen the struggles of a working professional, especially with families. I feel that
definitely.
that stigma is becoming, I think that's one of the good things of COVID, that actually people are realizing how tough a life can become, or how much you have to do when you have kids and when you're working as well. So I think that it takes a while, but I believe that if you're doing good work, people understand when you say no. And I have actually started adopting that at my workplace, where I ask them, like, why do you need me for this meeting? Like, what input are you expecting? Am I expected to provide? Is that something that you can do over Slack? Can you send me, if it's just someone asking me for a review, can you just send me over Slack? And I can, because I know that at the end of the day, once I put my kids to sleep, I can still read and I can still provide my reviews. But for me to spend 1 hour going over that presentation where I can actually finish my work is more important. So that's why I believe that learning to say no is one of the critical parts once you become a mom and you're working. One thing I would also say is define your boundaries early on. So for example, I know that I have to pick up my kids after 4:30 p.m. I wouldn't participate in a meeting that starts at 4:30. So if someone is asking me for a meeting, I would clearly say that, sorry, I cannot, because I need to go pick up my kids. That's my priority at that moment. As a product manager, you prioritize day in and day out, and you should know what your priorities are. So you should always make sure that you're sticking to that, and you are making sure that you're doing the most important, most effective thing at any point of time. That really helps. So when you define your boundaries, have some time where you are having your no phone, no email kind of a rule, where you are, spending time with your kids, being present in the moment. But then again, I want to mention, and you will hear me say this a lot of time, is give grace to yourself, because you can define boundaries, but things happen. So for example, today I did not, when I signed up for this session, I didn't expect my kids to be home. I was expecting it to be a very quiet session with just me presenting, very well prepared.
Yeah.
But for the last 3 days, my kids are sick, they're home, and I'm still working. So it's been a little crazy. So things happen. You have to be prepared for that. Another example I would give you is last weekend, I had to send a report early Monday morning. That meant that I need to finish it over the weekend. So I did break my rule of not working in the weekend. But then I had to take my kids out to a park. Sure, I took them out to the park. I gave grace to myself. I did not feel guilty. I came back. Once I put my kids to bed, I worked and I finished the report. In summary, what I basically want you guys to understand is that you need to believe that you are still a human person. So you will make mistakes. You will you will break these rules, but these rules help you to prioritize what you are doing, prioritize what is most important to you, and making sure that you do that. So at the end of the day, again, coming back to my point, make sure that you are happy and your kids are happy. That's all that matters. Um, block off
Yeah.
block off a time in your day where you are just working for your stuff, because ultimately, as many meetings that you attend, you still have to finish your work. If you're a product manager, you will be working on roadmaps, you will be working on user stories, and you have to make sure that those go into development at the right time. Bless you. So if that happens, right, how do you make sure that you are on top of your work, irrespective of all these sessions that you're participating in? So one thing that really works for me, and I've been doing that for the last couple of years, is that I always block off a time in my calendar where it just shows myself as busy, and I work. That's those 2 hours, and it depends on your workload. It could be every day of the week, or it could be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have my afternoons blocked off, and you're just working on your stuff. So making sure that you are meeting your deadlines, making sure that you are finishing your work on time. So this is also a way for you to give grace to yourself, because you can't always be jumping through the hoops to 1 second, and my kid did something to my screen. So yeah, sorry. So yeah, you can't always be jumping through the hoops to make sure that all your work gets done. So can you do this over here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
also, there's a few minutes that we also want to keep for questions. So
sorry.
don't run out to that one.
The way I want to close this is something that one of the articles I read was that can moms have it all? And to be honest, I don't think so. I don't think moms can have it all. But I also believe, who has defined what is all for us? For me, all is like I work, I do good at my job, and I take care of my kids. My kids are happy. That's all. That's my all. So I believe that when people say, yes, moms can't have it all if you're working, that doesn't mean that, 1 second, let me get her down, go get it. Yeah, so I basically want to say that, yes, we cannot have it all, but I don't think the society's standard of a mom having it all is what should be defining what our all is. I think as individuals, as mothers, we should be defining what our all is and sticking to that and making sure that we do have that. So that's how I would close this session.
Wow.
And I want to say is, be happy even if you don't have it all, because ultimately you are working, you're happy, your kids are happy, and that's all that matters in life. That's all from me. Thank you so much. And I'll stop sharing and pass it on to Sharon.
Yeah, so for those who are present, you could unmute yourself, share a video if you're willing, and ask any questions. But if not, I also have a few questions from that were previously asked. So I'll wait like a minute if anyone wants to ask.
Yeah, hello, hi, this is Aishi here.
Hi, Aishi.
Hi, Ishita, for sharing such an inspiring and very insightful story. Though I'm not in your shoes yet, I have just one question I wanted to ask. It was very pleasant to hear your entire speech. I just wanted to know, in this entire journey, could you just share what has been the hardest or the best part?
The hardest, I would say, is are days like these, when your kids are sick and you still have a lot of deadlines to meet. That's where you feel compelled, and you don't understand what exactly you want, what you should do. You want to be, I feel that the hardest part is when you want to be at both places at the same time. You want to work and you want to finish your work and meet your deadlines, but you also want to sit with your kid who's sick and make sure that he or she feels good. So I feel like that's the toughest or the hardest thing that I have to, or hardest choices I have to make on days like that. But I think in saying that, there are a couple of things that helps me. One, obviously having a partner that understands that part and participates and tries to help, that is definitely helpful. Like make sure that, because sometimes if you are working on something, then your partner can take care of the kid and the other way around. Having a good boss also helps. So for example, today, since both my kids were sick, and it was a coincidence that my manager called me in the morning just to ask about something. And he was like, how's your morning? And I'm like, it's crazy because both my kids were sick. So I was up the whole night. And he's like, why don't you just take the day off then? Go. So why
That is
don't you-
very kind of him.
Yeah. So it is about, you build that kind of reputation, you build that up, that they know that you will do your work. So they have that faith on you. And if they have that faith, if you build that trust, if you build that faith, that transition becomes really easy. So having that conversation with your managers, having that conversation with your peers becomes really easy. So use your time to build up that reputation, and build up that expectation from you that they know that you will do the work. And the second part to that is, you asked me what is the best part of it. The best part is, I would say, it depends. The best part for me was always like having, when my daughter says that, Mama, I also have to work, and she brings her laptop, that makes me feel really proud of her, because I feel like I have instilled that value in her that I will go sleep. So 1 second, I'm coming. So yeah, so that value in her, that she knows that work is important. If she wants, she can work anytime, it doesn't matter. So I feel like that makes me really proud and very happy, that from a very young age she is seeing that, and she's understanding that mom has to work at times. So yeah.
Ayushi,
Yeah,
you
that was very nice
unmuted.
answer.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. This is a very nice answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, adding on to that, so one of the questions we received was, so how would you get support from the company to make sure that, like you said, you're doing your job, but you're also prioritizing your family life? How do you work with your manager? How to work with the company culture? What are some of your tips and thoughts?
One of the things that definitely helps is if your managers also has kids, because then they understand the struggle. That's one part of it. But the other part is also having, I believe that it's a two-step process. The first step is you build that level of trust that, when work gets assigned to you, you're going to give it your 100% and make sure that the work gets done. I've always believed in that. One of my mantras of my life is always be good at what you do. So I believe that once you build up that reputation, having these conversations become really easy. The workplace that I am in right now, I'm not even 6 months in that company, but I can still have that conversation with my manager and say that, my kid is sick. So that mom guilt gets seeping, I would say, at times. But yeah, you can start having those conversations once you build that reputation up, because people know that, it's genuine, it's a tough struggle, and you're going to do your work. So make sure that you are giving 100% to your work, you're finishing your time deadlines on time. Or if you're not, for example, like for today, there's no way I'm going to finish my work on time. So for the situations like these, have that open conversation and set a realistic deadline. And if your reason is genuine, people understand. So give yourself grace, give other people grace, they will understand. But start having those conversations early on. Start having set those expectations early on. So when I joined this company, one of the first things I told my manager was that I can't come to office. I'll be working from home for the next couple of years. Is that okay with you? And he was okay with that, because ultimately for him, what matters is that the work gets done. So I believe that have some of your, what is most important to you, have those conversations early on. Work on your reputation. Make sure that people start believing that you get your work done. And then once you've built that up, that transition becomes easier, that those conversations become easier. So yeah, work hard, play hard, and like, okay, gets okay. And every days like these passes. So it's all good. That's how I
Yeah,
sum it up.
definitely. And obviously, like this is all a conversation show. Feel free to cut in if you guys have any other questions or just something about your experience. And I guess one thing was another question is you did say about taking care of yourself. So what are some things you do to, either increase your health, mentally and physically that you think like really helps you be a better you so you could be a better mom and a better coworker?
Yeah. So one thing, I mean, as I said, I mean, on the work side, there is this blocking of time to work on my stuff, finishing off my deadlines. I think that from the work side really helps me, because I know that irrespective of how my day is going, I'll get 2 hours of quality time to do my work. So that from the work front, that is something that has helped me even before I became a mom and my work life was super busy. That was actually helping me. And now obviously it does more, because now I don't have the free way of using my weekends also for finishing up my work. On the personal front, I think it depends on what you would like to do. So keep some time for yourself to do those. Whether it is after your kids go to sleep, but do that. Even if it's scrolling through the Instagram, do that. Make yourself happy. Even if it means you'll sleep half an hour late, I think you should do that. I like to read, so I generally try reading 1 to 2 books a month. I used to read much more, but after having kids, I'm generally too tired most of the days. So, but I still try to read, especially on weekends and stuff. In the afternoon, when I put them down for their nap, I try to read for a couple of hours. That makes me happy. So I think whatever you like to do, and I think I know I've talked to a lot of moms who feel this way. So I believe that having that solitude time really helps when you're just by yourself. Whether it's if you're reading, you're having a cup of coffee, you're having a glass of wine, you're browsing Instagram, you're watching something, but have some time just for yourself. It's very good for you, for your mental health. And I think it makes you a better mom, because then you tend to let go of all your frustration, of all your anger, and then it makes you a better mom. See, my kid is so happy that she's sitting in my lap.
Yeah, no, that's definitely very good. I definitely agree, just blocking some time off, like even though like I'm not a mom, but I think like having something time to like release before you sleep is very important, just as a person in general. So let me see if there's any other questions. I guess one more, somebody actually asked, so like, for example, you said that you came into the company kind of with expectations that you are a mom, but like, what if you kind of transitioned from obviously not a mom to a mom, like during the same company, kind of like how did you feel like there's a change in like, what are your thoughts? Mm-hmm.
So the company that I actually worked with before this, or not even before this, yeah, in 2017, that's when I became a mom. So 2018 was when I was pregnant with my twins. And funny enough, I joined the company in August and I was pregnant in January. So it was a pretty quick transition. But again, I genuinely believe that if you are someone who has worked hard and who established herself or himself as someone, people know that you do your work and you believe in good work and you're doing your job. I have seen that people understand. There is a little bit of transition, because people who don't have kids or who are past that stage, they kind of, because work comes first to them, so there is a little bit of judgment. I wouldn't say that that's not there. There's a little bit of taboo, definitely. But I think establishing yourself as someone who's working hard and making sure that your work is getting done helps and goes a long way in those conversations. again, having someone who supports you really helped. I had Bosky as my manager, who manages PM Dojo, and she was one of the first few people I told about my pregnancy, and she was really supportive because it was both ways. She knew that I was getting my work done, and I knew that I would have her full support. So I think that really helped. So I would say that doing good work and having those conversations early on, because ultimately once you become a parent, and if you don't have that support in the company, you wouldn't like to stay over there. So having those conversations early on really helps and goes a long way in this journey.
Yeah, that sounds very good. Like you said, it always sets expectations beforehand. It's very useful. And well, it's almost the end of the event. So this was a really fun and interesting conversation. And if there's no other questions, we can wrap it up on. Okay. So thank you so much, Isha, for joining us, and Isha's little one for joining us halfway.
Say bye. He's always ready to say bye. Thank you so much. I know it was a little bit noisy and not the way I planned, but this is motherhood for you. Things change at a very fast pace. You have to just adjust and carry on. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you so much.